Greetings. Welcome to Of Darkness and Light. My name is Echo Augustine. I want to talk about the United States of America and its culture. I made a mistake. When I began realizing I needed help and my family wasn't going to help me, I started with a moment where I realized I was in too deeply. And it was after I became schizophrenic. But I didn't know that yet. I hadn't gone through a complete manic breakdown. I was right in the middle of it. I started a fundraiser and they explained the situation. It's just hard financial times. And it was such a block. So much shame to ask for financial help. To beg. I got to begging eventually. I got to accusals. I came back to this most desperate situation of needing to pay for this apartment, this home that I've made, because I still haven't found any kind of path towards stabilization with my disability. And I knew I had to get stuff done. Have to sell my car. Have to work that out really fast. I don't want to go to CarMax and get the lowest price, but fuck, I'm gonna have to. If I could clean it up and work it out a little bit, get some of the lights off on the inside, pump up the tires, sell it to an individual, probably get a lot more in the end. Gotta go fast though. Making offers to people, which are unfortunately based around my artistry. Because there's an anti-begging culture that propagates into people that genuinely need help. And every time I've posted a fundraiser, I have gotten donations. But that's the thing. You ask one too many times, you're just crying wolf. People can't help you like that. And every time, it was pretty much the same people. Some elders of mine, friends, teachers, whom I respect the very most, who have continued to pitch in, basically giving me small payments as they can these last months. And it's been something that's I've been very grateful for. They gave me a few $100s today. And that was very, very appreciated. I went and got groceries. I got an Epsom salt bubble bath situation going. I got some cleaning supplies. I needed to relax, despite the situation I'm still going through. I don't have the right help to get on the right path. as a schizophrenic person who has a brain that is traumatized and difficult and locked in a state that is frustratingly complex in terms of finding a way towards getting help on my own alone. It's a very specific trauma. I wonder if I had somebody around who could stick around me being really leany onto them, you know? If I spent a night in a bed with somebody I could reach out and touch. If I had friends to sit on the couch with and laugh. My trauma of doing things alone would certainly lessen. And my anxiety would too. Because schizophrenic people in pure isolation is a really rough thing. It's traumatizing. And that's ongoing. So I have steps to take that I'm taking as I can, with grace to myself, because that's what I need to do. But I was creating videos on videos on videos and blasting them out onto every social media platform, knowing I got one click on each one if I'm lucky. I got some donations before my elder friends came through with a few $100s. I had sold something, a mouse, a gaming mouse I never use, because I had to sell my computer when I had a schizophrenic breakdown where I actually played games on. I had like a big computer with actually run games. But that's the thing, is I've been selling things, and that's what we do. We're a consumption culture within capitalism, and we're embittered towards the system of finance deeply in our bodies, especially at this late stage of capitalism where everything is so innately unfair to everyone. Everything is being taxed until it's poverty class is everywhere now. It's just like whatever's governmental taxation and penalization and fees. It's just like everything has been built to float broken financial systems, especially here in Washington State. The entire government is just like, how can we steal money from the people to pay for shit that we can't pay for? It's like, okay, thanks, but no thanks. I noped out a Karen about my credit, and I just have never answered a call from a creditor. They never sent police. Like, I still got unemployment. It was like a year later. I've been not paying credit cards since I had my schizophrenic breakdown in November last year. I've not paid a single toll bill. I've not done my taxes because I was always going to do bankruptcy. But it's just like, is it all made up? Do they just scare people into doing stuff they don't really need to do? Do they just not have systems these days to like really track people down who aren't pussies? If that bothers you, I wonder if you're female. Are they just little winky dickies? I'll use that one first next time, okay? I'll balance it. I'm a male. And I'm a woman, and that makes it very hard for people to see me as the person that I am, which is somebody who has always been prone to creative expression in their living. And I'm going to tell you, as somebody who needs that expression, this entire world and culture has been disturbing to my spirit from the start because of the mechanisms of structure that simply do not allow people to live as we're meant to live. How are we meant to live? This is the answer. You wake up every day and you need to have the freedom to pursue your whims. You know how long you need that for? Every year? Every day. That's why I'm an AI supporter, because that's how we can do it. Program a super AI with a question to answer, maybe mythologized ahead of time from the DNA of Douglas Adams. In 42 years, how can we get to a place where everyone is living free of finance, right? And the needs to play games in capitalism, they don't want to. It's like, if we have desires in our bodies to do things, like me, create art and storytelling in particular, that's there for a reason. And when we train ourselves to deny the things that our bodies are telling us from the beginning of our lives for culture that does not allow us to pursue our own pursuits of heaven, we don't even get on the right path to begin with. We get trained all backwards. Everything's upside down in terms of our mindful perception of the feelings we're having in our body. And then we get to a point like this, where we medicate the symptoms of the results of that malfunction. And we are embittered for the way that we are being stripped down financially at every turn. Pennies are turned into dollars, and you go to the grocery store and a box of Cheez-Its is $9. I'm just like, oh my God. How do I eat like I used to? I guess I don't. And no one is really acknowledging that we've all been made into poverty class by the results of COVID exploitation. And we are owned now to just ride out the stress of pending financial doom. And there's the resentment towards the older class who is holding on to property and stakes of money because they were trained much differently, which was, hey, you build it, you own it, it's yours. And that's hot in a world where it works. But kids these days, they don't even try. because they know it's broken from this first step within it. Because it's like, yeah, this isn't going to work. Those numbers don't check out. There's no way for me to do this and not just fall into debt. It creates spite responses, especially in people who are abused, emotionally abused, unstable, who have been on the wrongest of paths their whole life. It makes them look at credit like, fuck it, I'll figure it out one day. I need this thing right now because I hate my life so much. Right from the moment I was 19 years old, I've been in debt. Never once got out of debt. Now I don't even look at it because it's such a stress. It's the same brain pathways that always stressed me out and created anxiety that have now malfunctioned and created a no-go zone. Through the genuine brain trauma of my plant medicine usage and yogic breathing exercises and lifetime of trauma. And my unique disability reflects what everybody does wrong here in America because we're forced to. Because I'm digging into how you can live as a schizophrenic that is not delusional, that is living without lashing out after having been in the deep end. And finding that the path doesn't lead where I expected it to. That it's something to live with and straddle, but also encompass with a knowing. It's a very complicated notion. That's why my brain has expanded as I hold layers simultaneously. I say 1 foot in, 1 foot out of the delusion. That's true. But then there's the encompassing layers of, hey, there's all of this I don't understand as well. There's this entire interpretation that I have to keep in the mix and another entire interpretation I have to keep in the mix. And that's how I stay non-delusional, is a very nuanced construction of my working understanding of what's going on with my feeling sense and my body's voiceful projections into my mind that are clearly beyond me. And sometimes I can talk to it, right? Let me ask it a question. Hey, buddy, what's up, girlfriend? Like, that's what happened. It's like in here. It's like in here, but I hear it. It's like it's a combo, right? It's my subconscious. Yup. It's just like that. Just told me to stop saying what it was saying. Because it's there a lot of the time when I'm talking. And that's cool. I don't always say what it says. That's a part of it, is you don't just let it take over. You create a staging ground where it lands, and you kind of start to learn the tone of his voice. And sometimes it's saying something for you. And then sometimes you're just opening up and I'm not mentally thinking about these words at all. Everybody is auto-written, right? Or something like that. Or gotten into a state where they're like orating and it just starts flowing out of them beyond themselves. And they're like, wow, my words are slapping. It's like you're reading a book out loud and all of a sudden you just stop thinking entirely and you start reading like a machine. Welcome to my life. It's kind of hot. That would definitely stop with compassion and connection. I would just turn into a snuggly little bug taking advantage of every second. And that's the truth. And because I got a lot of trauma to heal beside people. And that's what schizophrenic people need too. But they need to get to this point first where they're not projecting delusion into the world. And that creates rewired brain pathways of understanding what's actually going on with them that make it pretty impossible to work in the modern world. But hey, I feel like I'm of value, and I feel like people of me are of value, and I feel like my lived experiences of working through the systems of psychology and seeing how they let down people with my disease of mind, that can be turned into an advantageous condition to not be chased after. It's something to live with. It's like people should not be trying to do this on purpose. This is a death drop. Icarus burned his wings, right? And he fell all the way into the sea. You got to regrow those wings back. There is old history of Jewish mysticism about priests taking underworld dives and the rarest coming back out the other side. Hello. That's what's going on. Is there's something very real about my schizophrenia being a misunderstood notion in the modern world. So on top of the financial problems I have and how that triggers people, on top of the fact that my creativity is how I find my peace as a schizophrenic, because if you are a logic-centered person who doesn't stay in creativity, I would imagine if you short-circuited your brain, the creativity is what would be fried, right? And so it's just like, maybe that's what Sammy and Lily in my mythology of the Garden of Eden really were. Not people traumatized to be who they were, who were just Adam and Eve traumatized. No, people that are predisposed to walk this path and who already lean into different mental headspaces, which are what we consider gender, instead of owning it both. They genuinely prefer creative intelligence versus rational intelligence. And so that's my idea on gender of darkness and light here at the very end, is like, not the end, the re-beginning. So I'm dealing with all of that, and I'm also dealing with just the stigma of schizophrenia being an S word that people are just like, nope out of, because watch the wrong movies and they stab people. It's like, except for like, that's the thing, is like, you've got a beautiful mind, right? Everybody knows that's not what schizophrenic people really are. So that movie did damage in the wrong way, because a schizophrenic person can be a genius, but they don't make up college roommates, dude. They hear and see and feel shit and they know it's crazy. But then they're like, there's something in there. Let me tell you something. That is not purely paranoia. That is often paranoia. But there is something real, because your body's intelligence is speaking. And the more trauma you have, the less you hear the truth. So that's what's up. So I'm dealing with all of that, and I'm asking for help, and people are like, on top of the fact that the finances are so wrecked in America, and I have my unique way of looking at holding my piece of the pie, or I'm struggling so poorly within these systems, or I just don't have it, or how dare you ask, like, get back to work. Whatever energy is there, I wouldn't have been able to pay rent today if it wasn't for an angelic Canadian woman, a beautiful person who once joined one of my manifestation meditations. She was on so many meditation calls. Her and I really connected, and we would have like community conversations about spirituality, where it was just like, no judgment, nobody's going to judge anybody, nobody's going to make fun of you for talking about Bashar, not in this space, because we know that there's a truth behind it all, and we're just letting each other tell each other about our own unique perspective on mysticism. And I was like leading those calls, and I was always like lightning rod in the middle, like, okay, cool, this is cool. Like, I was trying to just let people flow and be honest, but then like bring the heart out of it that connected with something somebody else said. It's like, wow, everything we said turned into this beautiful like Sufistic circle of heart sharing that we fed off of each other. Sufism has a hierarchical systems that are actually more respectful than any other mysticism, because it teaches that the teacher is a student as well, and that they owe deference to the people that they're teaching. And that's real. And it's like everyone in the world should be a teacher, though. It's like I respect Sufism, but it's still male patriarchal hierarchy into a mostly pure mysticism. And so that's real. But I guess what I'm saying is this Zoe also works with schizophrenic people. And they're the second person who knows schizophrenic people. The first person was someone whose brother killed himself when they were young because he was schizophrenic and nobody understood. And they became a pharmacist. And if you're listening, thank you in advance for the grace of allowing me to tell this. It was important to me. So she chose to be in a life of, hey, I'm going to help open a pharmacy, but then I'm going to be a pharmacist. And then they watched it happen. It just leads people into masking and doing more brain damage and not helping themselves often and going in and out of hospitals until they die or end up on the street and die or kill themselves. She stopped. And this angel from Canada who sent me $1,100 that they drew from credit as somebody who is genuinely of a poverty level, but did so knowing that her own community had systems to hold somebody up in that situation. So there's somebody in Canada who cares about me and America in their heart, with anger about how this could ever happen to somebody, how community could be so broken, that they did that for me to pay rent this 1 month that I was begging for, because I knew it was the linchpin to me having the wiggle room to save my future here. And they've asserted they don't want me to pay them back. Well, guess what? One day they're going to get a huge payback. But I appreciate the grace of it not being any time in the short term, because that takes all the stress off, right? But it just made me feel sad, because everybody's got such a good heart, and I reached out to so many people. And it's like there's an insult to injury. I reached out to folks who are African American. That's an insulting thing to do. I once got a really harsh speaking down to from my former colleague, Native American woman who I worked with and taught as they were teaching me. Medicine woman, for once asking for support, because I'm a colonizer. I'm a white colonizer. And I'm a male too, so like, how dare I ask, right? And so I asked a couple of black men that I knew, that I had a lot of respect for, that I knew had the finance, right? Or some of it, or I expected. They're killing it. I know those guys. They're just like, they know how to make money. These two in particular. They're just like really good men, owning it. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'll try these guys. I understand, right? That's the thing. You if you beg which is just asking. No matter how politely you do it, if you go to somebody that you know has money, they're insulted. You think I'm rich? You know I have a little bit of money. You think I'm rich? You think I can do this? Why don't you go find the right place to get help? This is universal. That's what I'm saying. We just do not have community. The only people who donated money to me were bleeding hearts who knew they had a little room to wiggle and knew it was worth it to the feeling of their body. And so that's real. Canada has saved my home for my child by having a township with a most beautiful human being willing to do something courageous and heart-wrenching to teach us all. And so, thank you for listening. I'm going to keep my fundraiser open because I still need help. But we've got plans of brewing here. I've got more to come, perhaps tonight, but I'm going to be taking it a little more slowly now that I have rent paid for. I'm excited to relax, watch a movie maybe. I just have faith that I'm going to have the opportunity to stay here now, being so beyond dysfunction that compared to where I used to be, I am very, very free of executive dysfunction compared to where I used to be. But I have the utmost confidence that with my intentions set forward and with a little list that's not too overwhelming of things to take care of, that are very gracious, I'll be able to get some things going that are most important. And I'll be able to wait out someone else who can help me find guardianship in a place of more anxiety-free existence, which is something that I'm going to need eventually, despite the fact that it's going to be really frustrating for others. But I'm going to use some money when I get it for my next unemployment payment, or if more donations come through, and I'm going to get a rake and a hoe and a shovel. And I'm going to start cultivating my little garden space. And it's going to be a manifestation of purpose. Because that's what I really want. And so, thank you for listening. I hope you have a really wonderful night. Good night.